So, you've probably heard about a wealth mindset. It's also often called abundance mindset. And you may be wondering, how do I get started realistically? Like, what are the practical steps that I take? Because maybe you've read books like The Secret, or you've read other books about manifesting and about the abundance that's out there in the universe that you just need to find a way to attract into your life like a little magnet. But maybe you are wondering specifically, where do you get started, and especially when it comes to your money, because money is something that pretty much all of us want more of, we can all use more of. And so that is an area that people are often super interested in, how to work on their mindset towards and be able to improve their financial situation by improving their mindset towards money and towards becoming wealthy. And so in this video, I'm going to give you 4 secrets that will really help you really begin to have a practical understanding of what goes into developing a wealth mindset, and that will help you be able to start to get started right now and today and be able to work on your mindset towards money and have some very practical tools to begin to get started with improving your financial situation. No matter where you are right now, no matter how much money you have or don't have, you can use these secrets to get started. Sarah Edens. I'm a finance coach, author, and wealth mindset researcher. And here on my channel, we talk about wealth mindset, we talk about finance skills. And if you'd like to come and learn how to unlock your inner millionaire, then please come and subscribe to my channel and make sure to hit the bell button so that you're notified each time I upload a new video. And you can also come and follow me over on Instagram as well. I'd love to connect with you there for more frequent updates than what I have here on my YouTube channel. So, what are 4 secrets that go into developing a wealth mindset for yourself that are really practical, that you can start today and really begin to incorporate these into your thought processes around money? So, the first one is to focus on possibilities and abundance rather than on having scarcity, a focus on scarcity and a focus on lack or limitations. Because what's the opposite of abundance mindset, right? It's a lack mindset, where you have this perspective that there isn't enough money to go around, maybe looking around at the wealthy and feeling resentful and wondering why they have it so good and you don't, or whatnot. And that's very common. I think it's easier for us in the way that we're wired as humans. I think we all tend to gravitate towards a lack mindset unless we retrain our brains and begin to think in a more positive way about our money. So that's the first tip, is to really start focusing on abundance. Focus on the number of ways that you can make money. Start to get creative and think about, if your current job isn't making the salary that you'd like, can you retrain and get into a career field that's going to pay you better? Can you start a side business? Can you look into all these different ways that are available to make money online now that we have access to? And all of these different ways, but just begin to open up your mind to the many, many different ways that money can be made, and also that there is an abundant supply of money. Money is really more of a concept than anything else. Yes, we have our currencies that we use in our whatever country you live in. You might have, like here in the US, we've got dollars and cents. And so, yes, you have a physical currency, but money in reality is a concept. And so, theoretically, there is an abundant supply of money in the universe. And so, you don't want to sit around and just try to manifest it with doing nothing, right? Because that's not going to work too well for you. A lot of popular books that have been written about developing an abundance mindset, they can be very helpful and very give you a lot of hope and help you begin to work on your mindset, but sometimes they don't give you anything practical that you can say, okay, here's some steps that I can take to begin to have an abundant mindset towards money, have a wealth mindset towards money. And so in this case, it's really important to have specifics about what can you do. So the first thing you can do is just recognize that there's an unlimited supply of money out there. It's not going to be delivered at your doorstep just because you're working on manifesting it. It's not how it works. But there are certain things that you can do to be able to improve your financial situation. And that's really the first thing is focus on abundance, focus on get yourself, start to get out of that lack mindset and really focus on, okay, I'm going to stop thinking about there's not enough to go around and these money narratives that you hear so often. Money doesn't grow on trees, things like that. And really say, hey, there's enough for everyone. There's enough for me. I can get all my needs met. I can make the salary I want to make. I might not be making it right now, but I can absolutely begin to work towards building new skills and get a better job. I don't have to stay stuck in the life I was born into or the job I trained in when I was in college. I can change that if it's not working for where I am anymore. So that's the first thing, is focus on possibilities and abundance rather than on scarcity and limitations. The second point is to adopt a positive attitude towards money. And this really ties into my first point. And again, it's another mindset little hack that you can use, but really focus on money as a tool. So you may have been brought up with different narratives, cultural or religious narratives around money that are very common, that are very, entrenched in many different cultures. We talked about money doesn't grow on trees. That's a popular one that you'll hear people say. You'll hear people say, oh, money is the root of all evil, things like that. And so I think a lot of times there is this connotation with being wealthy and somehow that equating with being bad, like it's bad to be wealthy. And so what you want to think about, is to, even think about the common kind of slang about people say, oh, he or she is filthy rich. And that kind of slang term even is just sort of, again, throwing mud on the wealthy. And so what you want to do is start getting away from that and say, hey, it's fine for people to be rich. And I want to be rich. And maybe I'm the first person in my entire family who's ever wanted that. And no one else understands why I want that for myself, but that's okay. It's fine to be the first person in my family to be doing this. But really start to decouple that connotation in your mind, if you will, of being wealthy is bad, and instead start thinking about money and how you can use it to make your life better as you make more and more money, and also how you can make your family's lives better and help your children more and give them more opportunities, help people in your community, help causes that you're passionate about and that align with your values. And so all of these things are wonderful things that we can do with our money. And as we have more and more money, we've got more and more freed up to be able to improve our own life, to improve the lives of others, to improve the outcomes for various charities and charitable causes that are out there doing a lot of good, but you'll notice always need more money. All those charities, if you've ever donated to a charity, you know that you will be getting mail and email and reminders from them for pretty much the rest of your existence because you gave them $25 once. But all of these charities, basically, I've never seen a charity that was like, it's cool, we've got enough money now, we're fine, like we don't need to have any more money to help these people who are going through this natural disaster or whatnot. You'll never hear a charity say that. And so that's another really important point, is to just stop thinking about being rich or wealthy as bad, stop thinking about money as bad, and start reframing that in terms of it's a tool that I can use for good. Definitely there are people out there who accumulate enormous amounts of wealth and then never turn around to give back, and that's really their choice. And you can weigh in on the various kind of ethics around that, and everyone has their own perspective, but you don't have to be one of those wealthy people that kind of is the miser or the hoarder that's going to accumulate all this wealth and just sit on it and never share it with anyone. And so that's a really good place to start, is say, hey, I want to get wealthy, and it's fine to be wealthy. And then when I do accumulate wealth, I have a game plan for how I'm going to help my family, or how I'm going to help people in my community or help causes that I care about, right? So that can be an exciting thing to do well before you've ever started accumulating wealth for yourself, is to be able to start having a think about, if I was a millionaire or a multimillionaire or even a billionaire, with inflation, I feel like being a millionaire isn't quite as impressive as it used to be. It's still a wonderful achievement and accomplishment if you're that successful, but $1 million does not go nearly as far as it did when I was a kid. And depending on, where you are in the country, sometimes that'll buy you a house, and then you still have to figure out how you're going to pay for everything else, right? So, but think through, okay, let's say I'm a multimillionaire in 15, 20 years. What would I do with that money? And the nice thing about that as well is it really starts to shift your mindset towards money, and it starts to shift the way you think about prices. It starts to shift the way you think about investing in yourself and investing in your skill sets, and just starts to remove that hurdle around thinking about money as bad and being wealthy as somehow a bad thing. I would say that being poor is a very difficult condition to be in, that I have a great amount of sympathy for those who are living in poverty and homelessness. And I personally really enjoy and I'm passionate about supporting different charities here in my city where I live, to be able to help them help those people who are living in poverty. So that is not a condition that anyone should even have to live in. And so that is, I don't see that being poor is somehow better than being rich. It's just a lot more difficult. And so it's not that necessarily having more money is going to make you happier. It'll just give you more options and more choices and more ability to make an impact in your family and in your community. So that's my second secret for you about how you can start developing a wealth mindset. The third one is to become goal-oriented around your money. And this is something that I can personally attest to, that this works really well. And I wish that more books that are written about abundance and wealth mindset would talk about the specifics and the how of this point, because it's one thing to say, oh, there's an unlimited supply of resources in the world and all we need to do is attract those to ourselves. And I'm not saying that that is, a bad thing, because I think that really can be a very helpful mindfulness practice to kind of visualize that. But then in terms of when it comes to your finances, it's like, okay, great, now what? What do I do now? How do I physically change my financial picture? How do I turn my financial situation around? And so in this instance, what you need to do is just start setting goals. So you want to think through, what are my short-term goals for myself financially with, my situation I'm in? What are my medium-term goals? And then what are my long-term goals? And as you start to think those through, get out a pen and paper and start jotting those down. Or if you like to work on your computer, start, jotting some notes and thoughts down about that. But that is going to really help you get to the point where you know what your goals even are, because maybe you haven't sat down and even thought through, what do you want for yourself? Do you have a lot of debt that you'd like to pay off because you're sick and tired of being in debt and want to turn that part of your life around and get that weight lifted off your shoulders and be able to move forward into other projects? Are you trying to save for retirement? Are you wanting to put your children through college? Are you saving for a vacation? Kind of what is maybe all of those things. What is your goal for yourself financially? So that's a really good question to ask yourself as you're setting those goals. And then from there, what you can do is figure out, let's say you've got $30,000 worth of car loans that you need to pay off before you want to move forward to other projects. So then you just sit down and figure out, okay, here's the minimum payments I'm making. And you can go to, if you just Google loan payoff calculators, it will help you. You can just enter in the amount that you have left on the loan, your payment, the interest, your monthly interest that's due on the loan. And then it will help you calculate out, if you want to have your cars paid off by the end of the year, how much you need to be paying every month. It will help you calculate out, let's say you want to pay our cars off in 2 years, how much you want to back it up and pay off your cars every month. So that'll help you come up with like a really specific number. Then all you do is you go through your monthly budget, which if you don't have a budget, by the way, I've got a whole series here on YouTube in my playlists about budgeting essentials. So be sure to check that out. And then just go through your budget and make a line item then for the extra payment that you're going to be putting toward your car loan every month. And it's really as simple as that. And then just having the discipline to stick with that every month as you go along and keep making those payments, obviously your minimum payments on the mortgage or the loan you're paying off, and then continue to pay a little bit extra throughout the rest of the year. And then you'll have accomplished that goal. And so that's really going to help you on a practical level to begin to work towards those goals that you have for yourself. And also really just being able to say, I can accomplish all my financial goals. It might take me 10, 15 years, but over the course of time, as I make these plans and figure out how much I need to put towards what, and figure out ways to grow my wealth and maybe work with an investment advisor if I have questions specifically about growing my wealth and the most efficient way to do that. That is a process that as you work along that path, it's kind of like a snowball effect where you'll see little wins in maybe that debt repayment, and that'll get you motivated to then go start putting more money towards retirement or go educate yourself about investing, things like that. And so you'll start to feel a greater sense of self-confidence as you go through this process. Trust me, I have been there. I started out with pretty much zero knowledge of personal finance and really learned so much along the way as I've gone through this process just by teaching myself. I've got certificates in personal finance, obviously, and I continue to work on my own education. But I was very self-taught well before I got into finance coaching and just figuring out, through books and podcasts and blogs and all of that, kind of the skill sets that I needed. And it's much easier today because we have so much on podcasts and on YouTube and so many wonderful resources now. So I feel like it's easier than ever to continue to educate yourself. And that really ties in well to my fourth secret for wealth mindset and starting to develop that, which is to commit to a lifelong process of learning new financial and money mindset skills. And so like we were talking about, you're not going to learn all the skills that you need overnight, and you're not going to necessarily see success right away. This is a lifelong process that you're committing to, and you're just taking that first step on the journey, which is really exciting, and congratulations for getting started with this. And this can range from like reading books. This can be watching channels like mine here on YouTube or other good financial and investment channels that are helpful for you. You could be listening to podcasts. You could even hire a financial advisor, an investment advisor. If you have some specific things, there are so many different great people in the finance sector who are there to work with you either one-on-one, or they might have courses online that you can sign up for and take their courses. And so there is just a wealth of resources these days to be able to educate yourself about any topic, not just personal finance. But it's never been a better time to get started. And I would say the lion's share of that information is free or low cost to you. And so you're able to really dive into these things and get really high quality advice as well. So just committing to being a learner and recognizing that you will continue to learn along the way, you will continue to grow your financial skills, and that is going to help you continue to develop that wealth mindset as well. And then reading books about abundance can be very helpful. And I'll link to a couple in the comments that I've found very helpful, perhaps not with the specifics of how that applies to improving your financial situation, but it can be super helpful in terms of really working on your mindset, especially if you struggle a lot with lack mindset, things like that, or you have a lot of limiting beliefs around money in terms of thinking, oh, there's not enough money, or maybe you came from a very poor background, or your parents came from a poor background. And so truly growing up for them, there wasn't enough money. I think a lot of times lack mindset is very rooted in reality, right? In the reality of ourselves or our parents. And if you've lived through a childhood of not having enough to eat or not being sure where your, roof over your head was going to come from, then it's not wrong to have a lack mindset because that's just your experience. And so people, especially an interesting case in point of this is people here in the United States who grew up during the Depression. They had a really interesting, most of them came out of the Depression with a really interesting attitude, not just towards money, but towards possessions in general, where they had had so little for a very long portion of their childhood that then when they got to the point where there wasn't scarcity anymore, they were still hoarding things, or they were still struggling to feel okay with spending their money. And so maybe they had a lot of money but wouldn't spend it to improve their quality of life because they were just so worried it would go away again. And so big, huge financial setbacks like that, or living in poverty, can really leave you with a lot of mindset blocks to work through. And those are real. And it's important to just acknowledge that those are real and they're not bad and they're not wrong. It's just a fact of coming through a difficult situation. And so I'll link in the comments as well, or the description box. I'll make sure to link to some books that will help you begin to just start to break out of that, start to work on your mindset shift that way. And then you can kind of continue to explore that as well, and then continue to look for good financial education resources. And that is all so wonderful these days that we have the access to the internet, which is just fantastic. And that there's just so much out there that we can learn from people that are there because they want to share what they know. And it's just fantastic how many people out there want to share. They've done well, they've succeeded, whether that's in business or finance or their career of choice. And all they want to do now is turn around and give back. So I find that really heartwarming to see so many people on the internet doing that here on YouTube and also on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I just see so many people that are like, hey, I've figured this out. I've made it. I've been very fortunate. I want to turn around and help other people. So definitely reach out for those resources and just don't have any hesitation about hiring a professional as well. And, you can interview different people and find a financial advisor or a finance coach who's a good fit for you and your personality and your situation, and get started with them if you want somebody to kind of do a little bit more of the work for you, or if you're self-taught like I am and you just like to learn and do things at your own pace, then maybe look at online courses, look at books, and YouTube videos and podcasts obviously can be super helpful as well. I hope that you found this video helpful. Please let me know in the comments what you found, kind of what your takeaways were from this that you found most encouraging and interesting, and just to get you started with some very practical tips to begin to work on your wealth mindset. And thank you for being part of our community here. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with other people who might be working on their wealth mindset skills and developing that wealth mindset as well, because that's what we're here for, is wealth mindset, finance skills, and unlocking that inner millionaire. I will see you in my next video, and thank you so much for watching.